What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and this is my brutally honest review for Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. When I was growing up, the first PlayStation game I ever saw was the original Crash Bandicoot. One of my neighbors had just gotten this new thing called a PlayStation, and he decided to invite me over one day to play through the opening couple levels. And as I saw my first real taste of 3D platforming, it was amazing, and honestly it left a really big impact on me. It began my love for Crash Bandicoot, and those original trilogy titles that we got back in the 90s are still some of my favorite games ever, but that's part of the reason I was a little bit afraid of this new project. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time is from a new team of developers, and while I was hyped, I was also nervous. This series, in my opinion, completely relies on one thing, which is the fact that it's always had extremely fast and very fun gameplay. If you attempt to try and slow down the action, or you're adding in too many game mechanics or something, you might end up breaking the magic of what made these games special. Well, I have to say right up front, thankfully they haven't done that. It's About Time is a proper sequel that manages to really kind of capture the original feeling. I mean, that's the biggest thing to me, is that this feels like old school Crash. Now let's get the one super weird thing out of the way for this, which is that technically this game is like the 11th title in the Crash franchise, but they've decided to delete all the strange spin-offs, the continuations, the convoluted storylines from the extended universe. If you're picking this game up and wondering if you need to know about the plot from stuff like Crash Twinsanity, well, I have some good news. Those games don't exist anymore. And to be quite frank, I think this was a wise choice, because we're really kind of going back to its roots. This is a very simple adventure, and it's just about Crash and his friends enjoying life. The bad guys during the beginning managed to break out of some intergalactic jail and shatter reality, so now we need to group up, get together, and play through over 50 levels that are just so short and sweet. This is all about the gameplay, and this brings me to the main thing I want to talk about, which is some of the things they've decided to add to this game, which are the best and worst parts of that. So the main element of this game is that now we have these magic masks. As you're playing through levels, you are still going to be doing slide jumps, double jumps, and spin attacks to try and kill enemies and collect all sorts of different cool gems and stuff. But the major new element is that we have these magical masks that are sprinkled throughout the stages. Now, each of the masks has their own special ability, like being able to let you fly for a short time by doing this like hover spin attack. There's ones that let you freeze time practically for about 3 total seconds, or one that lets you phase between alternate timelines, which pretty much just makes certain objects appear or disappear. Now, each of these is interesting, but I think that these are definitely better towards the beginning of the game. As the adventure goes on, some of these masks become a little bit annoying because they become too crazy. Like, one I really did like, probably my favorite of the masks, is the gravity reversal one. It lets you like walk on the ceiling and stuff, but in the later courses, they make you start having to constantly flip it back and forth in midair, so you're practically flying. Now that doesn't sound rough, but sometimes when I was trying to get every single collectible from a particular course, there were times when I died almost 100 times on a single course just trying to get that last unlockable, which goes from fun to frustrating. Now this is to a tiny degree. I'd actually say that 95% of the courses are amazing. They're incredibly fun, they're incredibly rich, but most importantly, not every freaking course is just being done by Crash and Coco. There are multiple characters this time, and they each have their own certain playstyle. Like, for example, this is Neo Cortex. Previously he's been a bad guy, but now we get a chance to play through his versions of certain levels. Now, Neo Cortex obviously isn't going to be as nimble or deft as the other characters are, but instead of having a double jump or a spin attack, what he does have is an air dash and a ray gun that can let him turn enemies into platforms, the way he can bounce off them. And it makes it where his courses almost feel more puzzle focused, and once you get used to them, they're actually pretty dang fun. Then there's things like Dingo Dial. This is really cool to me. Now, he's very slow. He can't really hop that much, much, but he does have a huge vacuum cleaner that lets him suck up explosives and shoot them like projectiles, or even hover for a short time. Now there's all these different characters, and they're just kind of mixed in. They give you a chance to experiment with the different timelines. You get a chance to see the different outcomes of all these different courses. The biggest thing I've seen asked about this game is people saying, is this worth $60? Because I think a lot of people, when we imagine, a lot of things like platformers or really old school 2D games like this, people are kind of concerned, all right, is this worth full price? I think it is, and the main reason why is that there is a ton of replayability in this. Now, when you're playing through this, there are a bunch of normal stages that let you go through the main thing. Now, you can also play through all the alternate characters, but there's a new thing, which is there is actually, whenever you beat a course, you can go through it and do like the entire course through these weird graphics modes. Like, just as an example, there's the ability to go through courses again once you've defeated them, and there's all sorts of additional goals. Like, all of a sudden they'll completely remix the graphics. Like, as you can see here, this looks incredibly psychedelic. This is one of the bonus courses where I'm playing through the game, but now everything is essentially ultra hard mode, but you're still trying to achieve all the original objectives. Now there's also things like time trials where you have to try and beat the level in under 2 minutes. There's challenges of smashing every box. You can even do weird things where a lot of these courses have fun options for trying to get every collectible, but you can also do them multiplayer now. So there's like a thing where you can just have it where you are switching off with somebody and trying to smash boxes for high points and stuff. But to me, what makes this game fun is just trying to get every single freaking hidden thing. I like unlocking costumes by completing all these courses and getting every single tiny thing. While the main story itself only took me about 6 hours to finish, I ended up putting in an additional 12 hours just trying all the courses in all the different ways, getting every single tiny thing. Because in my opinion, Crash Bandicoot isn't just about the completion, it's about the total completion. It's about getting every gem, every course, every single thing that's possibly hidden inside these cool maps. For the most part, I think these levels are good. I still think that the ending courses of this game are just not fun, but overall the game is still great. There is something about this though that I think some people will have trouble with, which is that there is definitely a level of difficulty in this game that isn't seen a lot. Now, I just want to make this an extra clear point here that these levels are often difficult, but they're not deceptive. Some of these levels may be really hard and have you packed with tough jumps that are just super, super tight, but the gameplay itself, it never tries to trick you. The path to each course is always clear, and the only challenge is being good enough to finish it. I kind of admire the fact that this game manages to feel so old school and so new at once. My biggest concern going into this is hoping that it would still feel like Crash Bandicoot. I really wanted this to be the true Crash Bandicoot 4, and in that way, they absolutely nailed it. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go over the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, a 9 out of 10. If I had to really say some final thoughts on this, I would say that this is a game that's definitely been constructed for the fans. If you're somebody that just finished playing the Crash and Sane Trilogy and you're very hungry for more of that style of fun, this is going to be a perfect follow-up. If you're just kind of a casual fan though, I do want to warn you, it may kill you a lot. This game isn't going to be impossible, but getting every single course down may give you a couple headaches. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh man, I loved this video. Oh man, I like this game a lot. I'm so happy right now. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.